So I checked out a lot of your stuff last night.
Yeah.
So you were an engineer initially. Can you talk about your origin story for a minute?
Yeah. We'll try to keep it short. You know, there's a lot of elements of my story as I transitioned into being an artist that are pretty common in the South Asian diaspora. Had a more of a conventional career track, was going after that 9 to 5, and that wound me up in Silicon Valley. But I grew up in Indiana in the Midwest, and I actually am I'm Kashmiri, which is it's a minority community amongst South Asians, and I'm also Hindu Kashmiri, which is even more of a minority community. And many of us are displaced, and our parents being immigrants, they're not just immigrants to this country, but they're also displaced from their own home in India. So for me, when I was at home, I grew up in a joint family where my grandparents, both sets of them, were living with us at any given time of the year. So, you know, all of us are looking for a sense of belonging, but for me, it felt like I had this tiny alternate reality at home, because even when we would go to community events, you know, it was either we're going to Garba or like Bhangra, or, you know, I wasn't seeing a lot of my Kashmiri culture represented to the point where I didn't even understand it other than what I got from my grandparents and my parents, and that was through storytelling. Yeah. And so they were big storytellers without realizing they're big storytellers, because any grasp of culture they could hold on to or show me at home, they were like gung-ho about it. And, you know, yeah, we had the satellite TV, we had, you know, the epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata always playing in the background, like always. So for me, it was like a big escape. And then my kind of interest in pursuing an extension of my relationship with my culture was through the arts, whether that was learning classical dance, Bharatanatyam, or learning how to sing. I was classically trained. And
wait, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So but at school that didn't translate. So I'd be like, well, I'll audition for show choir because I can do, you know, I can do dance. So I was like, maybe show choir, jazz hands, you know? Yeah. You know, it was more respectable to learn how to play an instrument because you could be part of the symphony. So I learned how to play the violin. And my dad was like, yeah, like I see, I mean, this is going to sound like a stereotype, but like my dad would be like, oh, okay, my best Asian friend's daughter is also playing the violin, so you play the violin. I mean, literally. Like,
we could have you play the violin on the Convo Sutra.
And sing? I've never heard you sing.
Yes. Yeah, so as long as it was a respectable pursuit of the arts, it was fine, but I wanted more. And so when we started having conversations around me wanting to take this more seriously, of course, that was not celebrated in our household. So I told myself, all right, I'm going to hack the system. Graduated from college early in 3 years versus 4. I got a job that I felt was going to sustain me. So I came out to Silicon Valley because I was like, what's the fastest way to get to California?
Nice.
While making the parents proud and still pursuing my dreams. And then that ended up being a detour of several years being in Silicon Valley. And I would drive out to LA. I would take trips to New York and just take community acting classes. And eventually I was working at a startup that got acquired. And then I was like, yeah, it's time to move. And then I did.
Oh, so you jumped.
I jumped.
Nice.
Wow. And then I've kind of maintained, like when I need to, there's now after COVID, there's just remote jobs. And so I always take kind of my earning power from Silicon Valley with me while I can. But, you know, I was primarily a weekend and evening warrior as an artist. And now that I've gotten more opportunities, I've also learned how to be more strategic and create opportunities.
Sure.
Because I was just like, well, I just want someone to cast me, but it's not that easy.
These days you have to create your own opportunity. That's something that's the new Hollywood, you know? Like the old Hollywood, you would sit and wait for your agent to call, you go to your castings. You had generals. I mean, and now it's like you have to be out there creating your own stuff.